So a lot of fans, Miami Dolphin fans, want the Dolphins to lose the next couple of picks or games, I don't know what I'm talking about, to get a higher draft pick. Well, there's an article and Todd McShay comes out and talks about that 2026 might not be the year for that. What is up, Finn fans? How is everyone doing on this Tuesday? Got a nice one here for you today. Going to be talking about the draft a little bit because to me, the season is over. Again, hey, if I'm shocked, surprised, and anything happens and the Dolphins make the postseason, I will be the first to come on here and be like, I was wrong. I am so happy to be wrong. But like I showed you in yesterday's video, a lot needs to go right for the Dolphins to even make the playoffs at 10-7. But we're going to talk a little bit of draft because in said video, if you talk about playoffs at all, there's a portion of the fan base that, hey, keep winning, get to 10-7, and try to get in the playoffs. You never know what's going to happen, which, you're not wrong. And then there's a portion of the fan base that's like, screw that, lose the next 6, go 4-13, and get a top 5 draft pick and take the best quarterback available or take whoever available. And, obviously I made a video kind of talking about why it's going to be hard to make the playoffs if we go 10-7. Well, I need to make a video for the other side of the spectrum, kind of talking about that 2026 really isn't the draft to do that. So we're going to talk about that, but real quick, I do have to shout out today's sponsor and the sponsor of the channel, Sleeper. Go check them out. Use the promo code DDW. You get 100% up to $100. And if you just want to give it a try for your first time, you can use a $20 free entry, no deposit needed. Just click the link in the description. So we will start with Todd McShay. So Todd McShay on November 14th, which was last Friday. Nope, 2 Fridays ago, came out with a Twitter chain where he talked about it. And he said, just some notes, thoughts of the 2026 NFL draft quarterback market. Based off the current NFL draft order, I see 3 teams in the top 10 with pressing needs at quarterback: New England, Jets, Cleveland, and the Rams, the Raiders, Doug. Come on. So he thinks out of the top 10 picks, your teams that have the most pressing needs are the Jets, the Browns, and the Raiders. So he doesn't think that the Saints have a pressing need at quarterback. Interesting. Well, they're going to ride with Shuck again. So then he said, then there's the Raiders, who have 2 first-round picks, including Atlanta's pick, the Rams, who have 2 first-round picks, including Atlanta's at 11 right now, and a 37-year-old quarterback currently playing at an MVP level. Complicated, but good problems to have. Maybe trade back to get additional compensations for a loaded 27 quarterback class. He says there's also the Saints who want to see how Shuck finishes the season. Maybe another team will trade back potential to load up for that insanely talented 27 quarterback group, giving Shuck another full season to prove himself. He says, finally, there are a pair of teams potentially in the quarterback draft market for obvious reasons, but with obvious money complications, that being the Miami Dolphins and the Arizona Cardinals. He says, so that's 7 teams in the top 11 picks with varying degrees of quarterback needs. And if my intel is correct on Dante Moore and Lenore Sellers returning to college, it leaves just 2 top 10 worthy quarterback prospects in Mendoza and Ty Simpson, both are also eligible to return. Not at all the supply-demand scenario we anticipated prior to the 2025 college football season. So again, he came out and said, look, 2027 looks much better, and there are teams in the top 10 like the Saints who might ride with Shuck and forego to the 2027 draft. There's the Rams who have a future MVP, and I think he's the MVP of the season in Stafford, who they might again see if he wants to come back for one more season and then go 2027 to get a quarterback. And then again, you have the Dolphins and the Cardinals who probably want to move on from their quarterbacks. Maybe not, I don't know, but they have a quarterback situation, but they have a lot of money attached to them. And then you have guys like the Jets, the Raiders, and the Browns who don't really have a quarterback. So there's that whole situation. Now, if you guys remember, like Todd McShay said, when we were heading into the 2025 NFL draft, everyone was clamoring about the 2026 NFL draft. Ooh, look at the 2026 draft and how the quarterback's this and the quarterback's that and yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Now they're saying that about 2027, probably because Lenore Sellers and Dante Moore are, like Todd McShay said with his intel, going back for another year. So there's this article from Jeff Howe saying NFL executives worried about lackluster 2026 quarterback draft class. I don't love any of them. So this came out around the same time that Friday, November 14th. So a sobering reality is taking shape with the 2026 NFL draft class. As recently as a couple of months ago, teams anticipated a stacked crop of quarterbacks, not necessarily rivaling the 2024 draft class, but surely better than the 2025 group. But with college quarterbacks underperforming across the board, there are serious concerns about the position, and that is going to reshape teams' plans for the opening round. Nobody is playing at the position well enough to be like, that dude can take over my franchise, said an NFL team's executive who granted anonymity so he could speak openly. So again, a lot of Dolphin fans want to, get Mendoza, want to trade up or want to tank if any of these guys are out. And some of these NFL executives are saying they're not that great. This could be a massive blow to teams like the Jets and Cleveland Browns, who have glaring holes at quarterback and a pair of first-round selections at their disposal. It also hurts the Tennessee Titans, who are in the inside track on the top 10 pick and their ability to auction off the selection to the highest bidder. Of course, there's plenty of time for evaluation to evolve between now and April, but the early analysis hasn't been encouraging. There's no clear-cut top prospect to truly set the pace for the rest of the class. I don't love any of the quarterbacks right now, a second executive said. We're trying to grasp onto something because there isn't anybody, and it's such a flavor of the week. Good luck right now. For context, those two executives don't work for teams that need a franchise quarterback, so they're not being disingenuous in an attempt to earn competitive advantage. They'd actually prefer those quarterbacks to climb up the rankings because it helps their teams get a chance to draft a better player at another position. No one ever believed this group had a chance to compete to the historic 2024 class, which featured 6 quarterbacks among the top 12 picks, including Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, right out of the chute. But after Cam Ward and Jackson Dart were the only first round quarterbacks in 2025, the common refrain was simple: wait till next year. Well, it might already be time to kick the can down the road to 2027. Overall, we're hoping it was going to be better than last year, a third executive said. There was a hangover from such a good class 2 years ago that there were more projected quarterbacks coming into this year, but the expectation of a high-end player never really materialized. Some of the young guys are leaning towards going back because they haven't played well and are making the NIL money. So there's that, right? And he goes into each of kind of these guys' thought process. And I'll read through them really quick to just give you an idea of what this guy thinks of these quarterbacks. But what 3 executives are saying, and even what Todd McShay is saying, especially with Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers going back, Archie Manning is most likely not coming back, but he again had a very I wouldn't say bad, but it wasn't a good year for a guy who everyone was saying, March for Arch, 2026 will get him in the first. And I've been telling you guys from jump, Manning stay in college for 4 years. I knew he was not coming out in 2026, but the March for Arch and then this and that and blah, blah, blah. That didn't materialize. And that NLI money is really something that is going to change these football players' mentality, right? As you look at the Dolphins taking Quinn Ewers, right? Quinn Ewers could have went to, I don't remember the school, I was told, but Quinn Ewers could have went to another college and probably made around 3 million, give or take, in NIL money. He is not making that with the Dolphins being a 7th round pick. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. He lost a ton of money because he could have went to another college and made a buttload of money, especially with the year he had in Colorado. But he decided to come out because he thought, and a lot of people were, talking about the fact that, oh, he'll be a worst case scenario, 2nd round pick. He goes in the 5th, and he lost a ton of money from the NIL to where he actually got drafted. So here's the thing that we need to realize when it comes to the next 6 games for the Dolphins. For me, I look at the next 6 games as who's going to shine and is going to be a foundational piece to build for the future of this team, like Devon Achane, like Jalen Waddle, Patrick Paul. I want to see what Taj and Malik Washington can do. I want to see Dulcich do some more, Julian Hill. On the flip side, I want to see what the rookies can do on the D-line. I want to see if Sealer can do a little bit more. I want to see Chop get more chances. I want to see, obviously, Juju Brents is hurt, but the secondary a little bit, especially the rookies that we have at the safety position. I want to see what these guys can do, and I also want to see what Mike McDaniel can do with these guys and do in critical situations, right? Say we win the next 2 games, and then we gotta beat the Steelers, or we gotta beat the Buccaneers, or, oh, this is a game. Like, they cannot lose a game. For the next 6 games, the Miami Dolphins cannot lose a game. And this is a situation where, okay, Mike, your playoffs start now. How are you going to, you're facing a Saints team that you are better than. On paper, you're better than the Saints. Will you fumble the ball like you did against the Panthers, like you did against the Chargers, like you did against the Patriots, where you had that game and you fumbled it away? That's what I'm taking from the next 6 games, because I will never tank. I go back to 2019. I was not for tanking. I was rooting for them to win. I did not care, about any of that stuff, because you look at teams that have these quarterbacks now, like the Kansas City Chiefs. They didn't tank. They just saw what they saw in Patrick Mahomes. No one else really saw it. Some did. They traded up and grabbed them. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. They wanted them. They traded up and got them. You like a quarterback and you think that guy has it, you go and get him. You don't sit around and go, we have to tank. So you go out and get that guy. So again, 2026 does not seem like that year. And again, things could change to the Senior Bowl, to the Combine, to the actual draft. Someone might shine. Ty Simpson might become, the 2nd pick or the number 1 pick. You might have some of these other quarterbacks like Nussmeier. I was hearing, Nussmeier, he's going to be number 1 overall. I'm barely hearing Nussmeier's name. So talking about like Mendoza, the redshirt junior had prototypical size at the position, is built similarly to May, though Mendoza isn't as athletic. One executive said Mendoza possesses his reads at a higher rate now than May did at this time in the final season at North Carolina. Mendoza is a pocket passer who will run if necessary. He is tough. He scrambles more during his time at Cal because he was forced to really drive the offense. Still, Mendoza has been more comfortable controlling the game from the pocket with a better supporting cast and system in Indiana. He has a good accuracy, delivers a clean, catchable ball, and he has above average arm strength, which is important, especially now in today's NFL. Executives like his decision making and ball security. Both traits have drastically improved this season. Mendoza also led a game winning drive the last week against Penn State. Obviously, this is the 14th, which helps his cause. So he's probably going to be Fernando Mendoza is going to be the first quarterback taken. It just depends when. Is he going to go to the Jets? Is he going to go to the Browns? Is he going to go to the Saints? Who's going to trade up with the Giants? Because the Giants might get that 2nd overall pick. Or, what is Tennessee going to do? Is Tennessee going to sit pat and take the best player? Who is that? But, that's really the interesting part. Ty Simpson, from what I'm hearing, Simpson throws a great ball. The evaluators agree. He has advanced poise and pocket for a first-time starter. The redshirt junior processes quickly and gets the ball out on time with accuracy. Other evaluators said Simpson simply plays under control and has good command on the field. Simpson lack of starts is a concern, and there's no question he benefited from returning to school to gain more experience. He doesn't wow teams with his traits, but the film has been the strength of his resume. One evaluator compared Simpson to Brock Purdy or Mac Jones, good players who get the ball where they need to. So Ty Simpson, who again is what do they say, a redshirt junior, he could go back if he wants to. Now Dante Moore is a guy I'm starting to like more and more. No pun intended. The more I watch him, 6'3", 206 pounds, has certainly improved. But one executive said return to school could put him on a Jaden Daniels style trajectory as someone whose stock could skyrocket if he starts to play a cleaner game. There's a lot of optimisms that Moore will reach his potential, but the consensus is that another season in college would be better for his development than trying to refine some fundamental struggles in the NFL. I know some people question his durability, but from what I heard, he had like a broken nose and he's been playing with it for like a couple of weeks now. So Sellers, who is 6'3", 240 pounds, Sellers just hasn't played well enough, and teams are hoping that the 20-year-old will return to school. He played well in the second half of the 24 season, but South Carolina doesn't have enough help around him, particularly on the offensive line. Taking on too much of the burden, Sellers hasn't had the chance to make the jump that many people hoped. So he will probably go back. So again, this draft is not the draft to grab a quarterback. And that seems to be the consensus of a lot of fans that want to tank, like lose and then get the top 2 picks or the top 3 picks and take the best quarterback, whether it's Mendoza, blah, blah, blah. But this doesn't seem that draft. Like this might be the draft where, again, you get your GM. I don't know who's it going to be. Is it Kelly? Is it McDaniel? Honestly, right now, me sitting here, I can't give you a definite, oh, they're both going to be gone and we're going to get so-and-so and so-and-so. Until Mike McDaniel's fired on Black Monday, we will see what happens on that day. But what I see 2026 as, build the foundation. Get your quarterback in 2027. They might stick with Tua. They might not stick with Tua. Again, just because of his contract, there might be teams out there who will, hey, if you pay, if you knock off his cap hit, move money around, we'll give you a 6th if you can take on this or make it a signing bonus and whatever, you can move money around. We talked about it on the collective. And then you go out as the Dolphins and get a Gardner Minshew, get one of these players that could bridge the gap and build a foundation in 2026. And then 2027, you get your quarterback, whether it is Dante Moore, whether it is whoever is coming out in that draft that might be the better quarterback than you're seeing right now. So again, what I'm doing for the next 6 games is I'm sitting back, I'm enjoying Miami Dolphins football because again, we got 6 weeks left and then we're back to, okay, season starts in however many months. So I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to evaluate what I'm seeing. I'm going to, is Mike getting better? Is Mike still doing the same mistakes? Yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm doing for the next 6 games. But from what I'm hearing, 2026 is not the year to tank. And 2026 really isn't the year to go grab yourself a quarterback. So I will do my prospects on the quarterbacks because maybe the Dolphins take one in the second. Maybe they take one in the third. I will do my prospects on that. But I'm going to look at probably offensive line, tackles, because what's going on with Austin Jackson, defensive pass rushers, because what's going on with Bradley Chubb, corners, we don't have any corners, safety, is Mika coming back, a lot of situations, a lot of plays. So comment below, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you agree this isn't the year to take a quarterback? Or do you think, hey, do what you can to get Mendoza? Ty Simpson is a good player. If he's there when we pick at, like, say we pick at 11, take him. Comment below. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say. I'll see you tomorrow with my picks. And again, I will tell you who to root for and who to root against. But like usual, stay classy. My fins up.